Imagine for a moment you're holding a jar in your hands. This jar represents your life, an empty space waiting to be filled. Now I hand you some rocks, pebbles, and sand. The rocks symbolize the most important things in life: your health, your loved ones, your purpose. The pebbles represent things that matter but are less critical, like your job, your house, or your car. And the sand, that's everything else, the small stuff, the distractions. If you start by pouring the sand into the jar, there's no room for the rocks or pebbles. But if you place the rocks first, then the pebbles, and finally the sand, everything fits perfectly. The order matters, just like in life. Are you making space for your rocks, or is your life too full of sand? When I was younger, I once sought wisdom from a monk who lived atop a remote mountain. Reaching him took days of climbing and enduring blistering heat. When I finally arrived, I asked him, "Master, what is the secret to a meaningful life?" He smiled gently and said, "You are like this teacup," handing me a cup already brimming with tea. Then he began to pour more tea, letting it overflow. Alarmed, I said, "Stop! It's already full." The monk looked at me and replied, "Exactly. How can I teach you anything if you're already full of your own thoughts, opinions, and worries? Empty your cup." The lesson was clear. We must make room within ourselves to grow. So often we cling to past hurts, beliefs, or fears, leaving no space for new insights or opportunities. Emptying your cup doesn't mean forgetting who you are. It means making space to become who you can be. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Years later, while walking through a bustling market, I watched a potter at work. He was shaping clay on his wheel, spinning it with such care and precision. I asked him how he managed to create something so beautiful out of mere clay. He said, "The secret is not in shaping the clay, but in understanding the space it holds. A pot is only useful because of its emptiness." That stayed with me. We often think our worth comes from what we do, achieve, or possess, but sometimes it's the space we hold for others. A listening ear, a kind word, or a moment of presence that makes us truly valuable. In a world obsessed with doing more, achieving more, and owning more, we forget the value of simply being. I once spent a week in silence at a monastery. At first, the quiet was unbearable. My thoughts raced, reminding me of every unfinished task and unresolved issue. But as the days passed, I began to notice the rustle of leaves, the rhythm of my breath, and the warmth of the sun on my skin. In the stillness, I realized that life's beauty isn't in its noise, but in its pauses. When was the last time you truly listened to the silence within you? Life is fleeting, like a single drop of dew on a blade of grass at sunrise. We often live as though we have endless time, postponing what matters for someday, but someday isn't promised. The monk once told me, "When you wake up each morning, ask yourself, if today were my last, what would I do? And then do it." This isn't to say we should abandon responsibilities, but rather to remind us to align our actions with what truly matters. So take a moment now to reflect. What are your rocks? Are you placing them first? Are you carrying burdens you no longer need? Can you find stillness in the chaos and beauty in the ordinary? Remember, the jar of life isn't infinite. Fill it wisely and let your days be guided by what holds the most meaning. And as you go about your day, I leave you with this thought. The quality of your life is not measured by how much you fill it, but by what you choose to fill it with. Choose wisely.